this Tech Talk, I'm speaking with Mark Podl, CEO of Doran Scales, and we'll be discussing all about how Doran's formula controls, bulk indicators, and software suites can improve production accuracy and efficiency and set a bakery up for success. Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, I'm happy to do so. Very happy to be here today.
The first thing that I want to talk about is that many small and mid-sized bakeries are still hand scaling their minor ingredients. I actually see it all the time when I visit bakeries, even when the operation is automated. So how can tools like Doran's FC 6300 formula control scale help with that?
The automation of minor ingredients is very difficult to do. And one of the easiest and most important things that you could do in your plant is to control that first step of the process. So what is the first step? It's the minor ingredients before it goes to the bulk station. And so essentially what we do is we control the process. So we track the lot numbers and then just ensure that the operator is doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And so one of the biggest problems is that if you don't control that process, your plant is harder to control, your output is lower. And it's very difficult for somebody to manage that process if it's out of control.
So, I've been in a few bakeries that are producing artisan breads. Can Duran's formula control scale provide that needed accuracy while still preserving the artisan process?
We've seen a lot of artisan breads needing to transition to a wholesale type of quantity. And because of that, we see the need to do bigger batches and somehow figure out how to run it through a normal bread plant or a bun plant. And we've seen it done successfully. So it's very key to do the scaling absolutely accurately. Because of that, you can do as small a batch as you want to, or as big a batch as you want to. And because of the price point of this product, it's very affordable for anybody to justify, really, that's concerned with quality.
Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is the bulk control indicator, and that I believe is the BC 6500 series. Some operations think of bulk ingredients and minor ingredients as separate entities with different needs. How does this system bring them together, and how does it benefit the operation end to end?
Right. So what we do is we have one single database. So you put your entire formula into our database. We call it Ion Suite, that communicates to these scales over your Ethernet network. And so these scales are always connected. The software runs on a web browser, so anything can use it. So you could run it on a tablet or a PC back in your office if you'd like to. And so essentially what we do is we tie everything together. So once we do the minors, we provide a label with a barcode on it. And then when it gets to the bulk stage, now all of a sudden these things are labeled. They know exactly what it is. They don't say, okay, this card over here has this stuff on it and this card over here has that stuff on it. So make sure you remember and don't get those mixed up because it's critical, right? What we do when we go to the bulk stage, you say, okay, we're going to run this formula. We scan that minor ingredient and then it ties everything together. It says, yes, that's the right minors for this formula that you're going to run. And then there's complete confidence that there's not going to be any screw ups. So it's a critical part of the process. And once we tie everything together, then you have complete traceability. And then you know exactly how much material went into that formula. And then when you start packing things and sending it out, now all of a sudden you know the quantity. And so you know what your yield is completely from the front end to the back end, which is very helpful, because when somebody makes a change in a plant, it's really hard to tell, did I improve the process or did I not? Did I make things better or I make things worse? And I need to know today, did I make it better or worse?
Often you don't know if it improved it or made it worse until it's too late.
Right. Exactly. And so the faster you get that feedback, the much more efficient your trial and error processes are.
So I want to talk a little bit about the Ion Suite. How does the Ion Suite really help with the tracking and knowing what to do with the information?
A lot of our clients have their own ERP systems that everything is inside of. And so what we try and do is we like to pull data from there. So we integrate with their ERP system. So we pull data from their ERP system and push items back to their ERP system. And so what we do is we push the information back so that the people that are really running the company in terms of the financial side of things, they can see everything that production can see. So everything that's done on our system is available to them as well. And so that's a real key step, so that people don't have to learn yet another system. Right now we're just complementing it. We're plugging it in. We're talking to manufacturing side, training them on how to use it, where to get the information, how to run the reports, which you can still do completely in our system. And then the people that use SAP, for instance, can run the reports that they typically run in there as well. And all the data is pushed back there.
So it's really bringing the manufacturing and the corporate sides together to sort of work in concert.
Exactly.
So I've heard you talk a couple of times about the workers when we're looking at all of Doran's tools. Can these scaling technologies help the workers that are in the plant learn the process better by more or less holding them accountable?
Right. So holding people accountable, almost everybody in this industry has gone to lean manufacturing.
Mhm.
And so what we really do is we complement that completely. So we create a standard work. This is how you do your work. We know your name is on your work. Everybody knows their name is on their work. So we know what they're doing, but we also essentially paint them in a corner too. So we make sure that they can't make a decision or take an action that management doesn't want them to take. And so the important thing there is it takes a little bit of training. So when we install these systems, right now we're doing a lot of them remotely because of COVID, of course, but also because the system's so easy to use. So we can train operators in a matter of minutes and then observe them using the system, help them with any questions that they have, or if they say, hey, we prefer it to be in this order instead, or I like to do it this way.
So, Mark, basically, how can a baker get started?
Right. A lot of people like to talk about the entire outcome first and try and take on everything at once. We want to integrate, we want to push this information here, we want to pull this information from here. And so we created our system so that you can start with the basics. Okay, we're going to control this process. And then we have additional modules that you can purchase later, or you just say, okay, I'm going to purchase this module, but I'm going to implement it 2 months from now. And so our message to people is start controlling your process now. Let's go ahead and get the formulas on the floor, get that under control. Things will get better, which means you'll have more time for other improvements, which means, okay, in 2 months from now, we're going to be running, the plant will run better. And so they free up time 2 months later and then say, okay, well, let's implement a little bit more. Let's go ahead and push the data to our system. Okay, that's great. Now we want to pull this data from our system. Okay, that's great. And then we move into a bulk system if there's a need there as well.
So, how can a baker get in touch with you to learn more?
Right. So duranscales.com, and also your wonderful magazine that we advertise in, we're in there as well. But just duranscales.com. We've actually got a brand new website that we just released, and we're in the work of in the midst of updating that. So some of the stuff that we're seeing in the future is well, when you have a new employee, we're going to have a series of videos on the web page that we can give you access to.
Oh, that's
that
great.
you can go ahead and the employee can watch it. You can watch it with them and say, okay, you've been trained, sign off. This is the training document. You know how to do this. And then they're very independent at that point in time. So we don't have a lot of customers calling us back other than to buy more systems.
That's wonderful. Well, Mark, thanks so much for taking time to talk with me today. This was
Sure.
really interesting. And bakers can visit duranscales.com.
Yes, absolutely. Please
All
give us
right.
a call.